Good afternoon and welcome to your Solent Sports News magazine show.
On today's show, we will be live from Valencia to talk Formula E. We will be giving you the latest Premier League news.
Premier League action
returns this weekend, and Southampton striker Moussa Djenepo has been awarded the September Goal of the Month.
Coach Ralph Hasenhüttl says the forward's return from injury is expected soon.
The derby game between two of Spanish football's biggest teams has been moved because of political tensions.
Barcelona were originally meant to host Real Madrid, but days of separatist protests in the Catalan region has caused security concerns. Sky Sports Liga expert Rob Palmer is on the line with us.
Rob, good afternoon, Rob. Can you tell us more about the current political situation in Barcelona, which has caused this issue with football?
Yeah, oh dear me, we'd have to go back histories. Whenever we do a commentary on the Clásico, we say that it's an age-old antagonism, difference between Catalonia and Castile, difference between Barcelona and the rest of the country. Going to liken it to over here, maybe it's like England-Ireland or more casual England against Scotland. So when these two teams play, we see it as a football match between two cities. In Spain, it's a lot more than that. There's the region of Catalonia that would like their independence. It's similar up in the Basque Country where you have Bilbao and they have the terrorist attacks back in the 70s and the 80s. In Catalonia, it has been a largely peaceful protest. And as you probably know, a couple of years ago, they tried to force elections, which were not recognised by the Madrid government. It was a 90% vote that they should have independence. Only 43% of people turned out. It's been festering for the last 2 years. And those that were behind the riots and the protest a couple of years ago, and indeed what they thought was a peaceful election, have this week been jailed for up to 13 years. A couple of those, if you watch the sports news, the friends of Pep Guardiola, he is a strong Catalan independence supporter. So it goes a lot deeper than just a football game, even if it is just the biggest football game in the world.
So is this the first time something of this nature has happened in a Liga?
Well, I wish. We've been doing Spanish football on Sky for 24 years up to last season. We've had it disrupted before. We had a game a couple of years ago, which wasn't a Clásico, where they actually played behind closed doors when they were having the protests in the centre of Barcelona, and they were concerned that it might spill over into the football stadium. You will see on the badge of Barcelona the red and the yellow flag. That is the La Señora, which is the flag of Catalonia. Now, many people see Barcelona Football Club as the national team of Catalonia. They want it to be a separate region. It's like maybe Yorkshire breaking off from England and having their own kind of nation. And as you can see, wherever you go in Barcelona at the moment, it's disrupted. There are riots, there are protests. The airport has had to stop flights. Many of the trunk roads into the city are closed. And the locals have spilled out this Friday afternoon and tomorrow. The thing is with a football match, what they see, and there are two ways to look at this, is that the locals will say it will be a largely peaceful protest, and they will come out wearing the yellow and the red, which are the away colours of Barcelona Football Club. There will be flags flying, but what it becomes is a promotion for what they're trying to create locally and internationally as well. So if they see the flags flying, the Madrid government think that is a free commercial for the local government. And that is why there's a little bit more to it than two teams going to battle on a football pitch at 8 o'clock or whatever it is on a Saturday night.
Well, we apologise. We've got a few technical issues with the audio and the video. Just last question, Rob. I can imagine this is going to have an impact on the media coverage of this game. It's one of the most watched football games in the world, El Clásico. Can you tell us a bit more about how the media will have to react to this in terms of coverage?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, because if you look at it as a sports journalist, you look at it on the surface and say, well, they've cancelled at 8 days' notice the biggest club football game in the world. If you look at it from a political point of view, then if you're from Madrid, you'll say that there's unrest, the civil unrest, the police are out on the street, the guards may be called in. It is largely peaceful. There have been some problems there. So as a news event, in Madrid or other parts of Spain which are not particularly partial to the Catalan fight, they would argue that they have to cancel it because it isn't safe. In Catalonia, they would say that we're behaving, it's a game of football, there are other concerts, there are other sporting events going on that weekend. It seems unfair, and also it's an oppression of their right to come and show their Catalanism, if you like.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. The voice of Spanish football in the UK was joining us live here this afternoon. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Away from Spain in the world of football, there's some mighty clashes ahead.
Yeah, back in England, most heads return to Old Trafford, where Manchester United will face Liverpool on Sunday.
Also, Manchester City travel to Crystal Palace in their bid to regain form that Saturday.
In the Champions League, Tottenham Hotspur will host Serbian side Red Star Belgrade. Their manager Mauricio Pochettino is still under fire after their poor domestic start.
And last year's semi-finalist Ajax will travel to Chelsea on Wednesday. However, no Dutch fans will be going after UEFA listed a ban for crowd troubles.
Yes, in local football, Saturday might have been a washout for non-league, but Eastleigh weren't defeated by the weather.
2,000 fans make their way to the Silver Lake Stadium, and the non-league spirit helped to get the game on as the Spitfires ground staff and volunteers powered through the conditions.
Our reporter Luke Sutcliffe was there amongst the action.
Saturday marked a key event in their calendars. With the international break in full swing, non-league day gave smaller clubs the chance to welcome fans of more premier teams. But with a weekend of rain showering the UK, some games at the National League level saw themselves called off. But that weather was not enough to cause a washout in Hampshire thanks to Eastleigh groundsman Dan Barnes.
It's satisfaction at the end of the day. We like the challenges that especially the weather throws at us. In all honesty, it's no different than any length we would go to. A little bit more of added importance today with non-league day. But yeah, we enjoy what we do. As crazy as it sounds, we like getting wet and splashing in puddles. But luckily for us, every match day isn't the same as this, but we'll do whatever we can to try and get the games on.
After several pitch inspections before kick-off, Eastleigh were given the go-ahead to play their non-league fixture against Chorley. And that was thanks to Barnes and his team of volunteers, who had worked tirelessly since 7 a.m. to get the game on, something which defender Joe Partington recognises as key to the spirit of the league.
And on match days like today, obviously where the weather's not so good and Barnsley does an incredible job with the pitch, but he's only one man and it's a lot of work for him to do. So the people that have helped him out this morning up early to come and get the game on is, it's something special and something you probably don't get at the top level.
If the harsh conditions were putting fans off attending the Silver Lake, a Pay What You Want initiative from the club may have encouraged more spectators to make their way to Eastleigh. With 50% of the day's income going directly to Prostate Cancer UK, club officials expected an attendance of 3,000, more than double their average weekly number. As the local Premier League side Southampton were out of action, the door was open to fans and staff from the top flight club. That included pitchside presenter Michael Kern, who understands that the non-league club helped him with his start in his career.
If it wasn't for my experience here at non-league, I wouldn't be where I am now. So it gave me a great platform away from the football pitch to kind of do what I do, and I was able to give my time back, and it's something that I love doing now. Come down to Silver Lake as much as I can, support the team, support all the staff here, but these guys behind us here, these are the lifeblood of this club, and for me that's special, and I know every single one of these guys out here and call them a friend, and that's what non-league's about.
The Spitfires ended 90 minutes in a stalemate with their northern counterparts after a scrappy afternoon in the rain. It was a game full of close calls and near misses, and truly summed up the National League, as BBC Radio Solent commentator Ian Wilding explained.
Well, it's just very competitive, this league. It very reminds me of the Championship a few years ago. Not like the Premier League, who the top six are going to be. But here, anyone can beat anybody. So, the non-league is very special in itself. There's a real community spirit around the place, not just at Eastleigh, but all around the league and in non-league as well. So I think people certainly feel part of the club, that's for sure.
The club raised over £2,000 for charity and are looking to run similar events in the future to enable them to donate a larger pot of money. Luke Sutcliffe, Solent Sport News.
Isn't it fantastic, Tom, to see so much enthusiasm around these games with especially volunteers?
Yeah, it really is. It's the spirit of non-league football, isn't it?
That's what we love.
But in boxing, Patrick Day sadly passed away on Wednesday following a knockout defeat to Charles Cornwall. The boxer passed away in hospital 5 days after the fight, making him the fourth fighter to die this year. Questions around safety have been asked, and Matt Ivins visited Pound for Pound Palace to get the answers.
Boxing is an extreme sport that has a huge element of risk, and it is estimated that around 1,600 boxers have died over the past 30 years due to injuries sustained in the ring. Boxer Patrick Day sadly passed away on Wednesday the 16th of October after suffering a traumatic brain injury following a knockout defeat against Charles Cornwall. As well as Day, 3 other boxers have died this year with similar injuries. This has raised issues once again regarding safety in the sport. Boxing coach Steve Barnes from Pound for Pound Palace had his say.
You know, it's really sad, purely for the loss of life. I feel other people's pain probably more than my own. What the families are going through, close friends, coaches, everyone involved in that person's life, right? That's where I feel all the sadness.
Despite the recent boxing tragedies, there is still a lack of safety precautions in boxing, apart from the possible introduction of ringside brain scanners, but no real changes are currently being made. Steve Barnes explains why.
Can more be done? Probably, but are you going to start taking away elements that are enjoyable within the sport? It's hard. I don't personally think much more needs to be done to make it safer. I just think people need to have clear choice that if they want to engage in boxing, their life is at risk.
Even though most of the noise is being made at the top level, we wanted to know what amateur boxers thought about the issue. 17-year-old Ben Abbott shared his views.
Shows a limit. You can never be too careful. Most days you would want to have defence as your biggest ally, especially in times like this. Over time of boxing, being hit in the head will cause brain damage and punch drunk. I can say a lot of boxers good in their prime, when they were the best they can be, were unstoppable, but to the point where they have to stop. Otherwise, like Roy Jones Jr. and Muhammad Ali can get rid of the idea that they're not boxing anymore.
Is it finally time that boxing is made safer? Matt Ivins, Solent Sports News.
Well, it's quite sad to see this, Tom.
It's terribly sad, it's awful.
People dying in boxing. There's lots of violent sports, fighting sports, and rugby as well, for example, is quite violent. There's a lot of injuries. Boxing is different because it's really about directly fighting. It's not just violent.
No.
And we've seen that a few people, unfortunately, have passed away. So it's quite...
It's a tricky one to call because sport is generally dangerous. You can't get away from that. But it's how do you manage that? How do you regulate it?
A question for you.
Okay.
Have you ever thought of playing bowls?
No, I haven't. Never.
Who in your family would play bowls?
My grandparents, maybe.
Well, I think we might have to consider, if we listen to Patrick Austin Hardy, our reporter, who is live from the Bannister Bowls Club in Southampton.
Well, that is a very interesting Tom and Seb. I'm actually here with England under-21, former captain of the England short mat bowls team. Here he is, Mr. Nathan Bailey. Nathan, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Patrick.
So, tell me, my colleagues in the studio seem to think bowls is only for the older generation. Are they right?
No, they're completely wrong there, Patrick. Honestly, there's our current national champion. He's 17 years old. He's one of the youngest people ever to become national champion, and we've got people as young as 15-year-old playing in the England squad.
So tell me, Nathan, why bowls? How did you end up getting into this sport?
Well, it started through my family. So my grandparents have always played it, and it's dropped down to my family members. So my dad's played it. He's become British champion, and obviously it's dropped down to me and my sister. Now I'm in the England squad trying to be British champion as well.
So why do you think people like my colleagues in the studio seem to think that bowls is only a sport for the older generation and not for us younger guys? You know, why is that?
It's just always had that stereotypical style of it. So most people just think it's old people when you got in your spare time. But actually, it can be played at any time, anywhere. Especially the version I play short, you can take it to any venue you want to and play it there. So it's for anyone.
Thanks so much, Nathan. Now, funnily enough, I actually used to be a bowls player myself. It's been a little while since I played. So, Nathan, we're actually going to swap roles. You're going to be the reporter, take the microphone, and I'm going to have a go at beating your shot, which is just down there.
Right, there you go, Patrick. We start us off in a good stance there, Patrick. Oh, and he sent it off. Oh, that's a big wobble, though. You can tell the nerves are getting into him now. Oh, it looks like it's going to be short as well. Patrick, the pressure's got to you here. Not very good. It's probably why I play for England and you don't.
That is very, very true. As I said, it has been a while. So thank you very much, Nathan, for your time. And we now head back to the studio with Tom and Seb.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I think we've got a new commentator here, Nathan Bailey, to commentate on Patrick's horrible disaster, that shot.
Don't forget his socks as well. Patrick's socks.
On Patrick's socks. We'll make sure we expose that on social media.
Staying local, in fact, just a few minutes away from our studios here, Solent University's new sport complex has officially opened to the public yesterday.
The new building was also unveiled by some very special Solent alumni.
Paralympic gold medalist Helena Lucas, MBE, and Team GB gymnast Kelly Sim had the honour to declare the new building open for public and students.
Matt Ponter was lucky enough to attend the grand opening.
Grand opening of the new Solent Sports Complex. Former students, guests and staff gathered into the main hall to witness some basketball before listening to a short Q&A hosted by journalist Will Cope. A tour was provided of the new facilities led by Head of Sport Martin Naylor. Martin has been working with the university since 2001 and said there has always been visions of a new building.
I first started on this in November 2015. So I've spent 3 and a bit years, quite a lot, of being involved in the concept and how we shape what this building was going to look like.
Every indoor sport was considered into the design of the building, but understandably this had to be cut down to what the university would benefit from. The main gym will be open to the public, allowing everyone access to high-end equipment and support from trained Solent staff. British gymnast and Commonwealth gold medalist Kelly Sim graduated with a degree in applied sports science at Solent University. She shared her thoughts on how the new complex will benefit future generations.
Hopefully it's really busy with not just the university staff and students, but with the public as well. It's such a good facility that there's so many gyms and equipment and spinning studios. There's so much for everyone, classes as well. And also with the basketball court, to get the teams here and to get all the students watching. I think it's going to be an amazing atmosphere.
Costing £28 million, the complex has already seen interest from Southampton Football Club and the Solent Kestrels. Solent men's basketball demonstrated the use of the purpose-built court before the invited special guests answered questions and gave their thoughts on the new building. One of these was Helena Lucas, MBE, and she was at hand to unveil a plaque dedicated to the opening. She graduated from Solent with a degree in yacht and powercraft design. Helena expressed how important it is to have the complex so close to the university.
I think to have this facility on site, it just makes it so much easier to as an elite athlete, to get that balance between training but also your education and your times in lecture, and being able to juggle those two makes it so much easier not having to travel anywhere.
The complex provides the university with another unique selling point. From soundproof dance studios to an industry-standard media suite, there are opportunities for everyone to be involved. For more information, you can check out the Solent University website or visit the building yourself. Matt Ponter, Solent Sports News, Southampton.
That's a great facility, isn't it?
Amazing. That gym, I've been to several gyms in Southampton and I've not really seen one that reaches that standard.
Yeah, a great, amazing looking facility. Anyway, on to motorsport now, and the previous Formula E season may have finished in July, but drivers and teams are already back for pre-season testing in Valencia.
The season should be an exciting one with new drivers such as Formula 1, with new drivers such as Formula 2, Nick de Vries, competing against veterans from the series like Sebastian Buemi. In Valencia.
Hello, Rob. Rob, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello, can you hear us? Good man.
Yes, I can hear you indeed. How are we?
Very good, thank you very much. So, Formula E, how long has it been going on for?
So Formula E, the first piece was pledged in 2014, and since then the series has gone from strength to strength, and this is the 6th season.
And what can we expect from this season, Rob, in Formula E?
Well, it's going to be another incredibly close season. We had 8 winners in many races last season, and I know pre-season testing is not the best way to judge who's where in performance, but it's looking as close, if not maybe even slightly closer this season.
So, for those who may not know, what exactly is Formula E?
Formula E, it's cars racing on tracks. So I think it's Probably kind of like Formula One but with electric cars would be an interesting way to describe it, potentially.
So this morning, I saw a couple of red flags, especially for Alex Sims. What's happened today so far?
So Alex Sims had an incident at the chicane which they temporarily built on the pit straight here at Bulletin. And his car was stopped on the track, but there was so little time left, they just decided to call the session early. And this afternoon they had a test race, and that went perfectly well. And since then, it's got a bit crazy, to say the least. We actually overrun slightly Portugal, and Brenton Hartley calls the first red flag, and Eden Motorsport got to the pit. Dr. Van Dorn comes to second, and Utrecht Müller was the third red flag this afternoon. But it's been an interesting time for the teams, definitely.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. It looks nice weather there in Valencia. It's not been quite the same here in England.
No, it's not. It's been miserable. Hey ho. Thank you very much, Rob. Now, despite not being featured in the Olympic Games until next year, sport climbing numbers around the UK have already rocketed.
Within 1 million climbers around the UK attending clubs and a 12% increase expected at the end of 2019, participation shows no sign of declining.
No, and our correspondent Harvey Leonard went to see what all the fuss is about.
With over 1 million climbers around the UK as of 2019, the niche sport of indoor climbing is seeing more and more numbers. With the 2020 Olympics, the first appearance for the sport at the Olympic Games, we're here at Balderschap where the numbers are becoming more and more evident. Making its Olympic debut next year, sport climbing will feature speed, bouldering and lead as its three disciplines. With a 16% increase in numbers at clubs such as Southampton's Boulder Shack last year, the introduction of the sport onto a global stage is sure to boost participation even further. Solent climbing president Holly Choules put the rise in numbers down to Olympic publicity and a desire to get involved in adventurous sports.
I think it is a contributing reason, definitely was one of the biggest reasons, because it just makes people more aware of it. The number of people who, because it's club night on a Thursday for us, but there's also other clubs that come in as well, and then individuals, the number of people who have come in on Thursday nights has just gone up. It's so rammed in here sometimes now, and you notice so many people, there's so many rock climbing gyms that are popping up as well.
With the social aspect of a club like Boulder Shack already bringing dozens of climbers to the walls, those keen on the sport are excited for the impact the Olympics will have. Club member Greg Kite told us the inevitable publicity and funding should help indoor climbing bridge the gap between itself and more mainstream sports.
So I guess, you'll see a massive rise. The car park's already full, so we'll see how that affects the sport. It's pretty busy already, but hopefully we'll see a rise, lots of money into the sport, that'd be really nice. It's definitely, wow, look what I did last week. I went climbing, or I went trampolining. It's quite a weird thing. My friend goes climbing. It's if you say my friend plays football, everyone's like, well, yeah, all my friends play football. I guess it's, I don't know, a character trait, really. It's interesting.
Monty Morehouse, a member of Solent's climbing team, believes had he not already been involved in the sport, he would not have known about climbing's inclusion in the Games.
If I wasn't climbing already, I don't think I would have even really known about it being introduced. Not a massive news person, so if I wasn't already climbing, I don't know. I don't think so.
With climbing set to increase by a further 12% this year and the Tokyo Olympics next year, numbers in the sport are only set to increase as an exciting time for niche sport continues. Harvey Leonard, Solent Sports News.
Oh, there's some amazing stats in there. 35 million climbers worldwide and 1 million of those in the UK. Who'd have thought it?
I don't know. What's certain is that Harvey didn't have a go.
No. Have you had a go before?
No.
No, neither. You wouldn't catch me on it.
I'm afraid we've arrived to the end of today's programme, Tom.
Don't worry, Seb. We're back next week for more sporting action.
Make sure you tune into our social media, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. It's all Solent Sports News.
And our website, don't forget, solentjournalism.co.uk.
Have a great evening.